think you can just hop in your RV and go? It does take a bit of planning, so don't hit the road without hearing this first. Welcome to RV Out West. I'm Brooks. Based in the Pacific Northwest, my family of four hits the road to explore the best of RV life out west. From hidden gems and epic destinations to helpful tips and real road stories. So grab your coffee and join the journey. The best part of RVing always starts before the engine turns over. It begins for us at Poppy's table, which is the gorgeous dining room table that my stepfather handcrafted back when I was in high school, with my maps spread out and a cup of coffee cooling while I trace a finger along the highways that promise a little something different. There's a quiet kind of excitement in choosing where to go next, in reading campground reviews, in picturing what the morning light might look like through your own window parked somewhere new. You start to imagine the rhythm of the road, where you'll stop for fuel, how far you'll want to push it in a day, and whether that little state park tucked off the highway might end up being the highlight of the whole trip. And then there's the choreography behind it all, the part that turns a dream into a smooth ride. You think about reservations and backup options, where to stock up on groceries before the remote stretches, or how to time your stops so the tanks get dumped before they become a problem instead of after. You check the weather, glance over your route for steep grades or tight turns, and make peace with the fact that something will probably go sideways at some point. But that's part of it too. Because when the planning meets the pavement and everything you mapped out carries you into a sunset you didn't quite expect, all those little logistics fade into the background. And what's left is the simple, undeniable joy of being exactly where you chose to be. Planning an RV trip can feel like solving a moving puzzle, where every decision creates the domino effect, in turn affecting the next. Campgrounds book up fast. Routes have to account for rig size and road conditions. Fuel stops aren't always RV friendly, and finding places to dump tanks or restock provisions takes more thought than a simple road trip. Add in fluctuating weather, maintenance checks, and the need for backup plans when something inevitably changes, and what started as an exciting getaway can quickly turn into a logistical headache if you're not prepared. I'm here to pull back the curtain on how I plan an RV trip from start to finish, the good, the messy, and everything in between. My approach might not look exactly like yours, and that's part of the beauty of this lifestyle, but it's built from miles on the road and plenty of lessons learned the hard way. My hope is that somewhere in the process, you'll find a few useful nuggets you can borrow, adapt, and make your own, so your next trip feels a little smoother and a lot more enjoyable. RV travel is a completely different animal than hopping in a car for a road trip. You're not just driving, you're piloting a small house or towing a big rig that drinks fuel like it has a grudge and requires you to think about things most drivers never consider, like bridge clearances, stopping distances, campground hookups, and where exactly you're going to empty your tanks. Quick detours are less, let's check that out, and more, can we physically fit and turn around if this goes sideways? Even a simple stop for snacks turns into scouting for a parking spot that won't trap you in a tight corner. It's slower, more deliberate, and occasionally ridiculous. But that's also what makes it a lot more interesting. One of the most talked about guidelines in RV travel is the classic 333 rule. The idea is simple. Drive no more than 300 miles in a day, arrive at your campground by 3 p.m., and stay for at least 3 nights. It's designed to keep travel days manageable, reduce fatigue, and give you enough time to actually enjoy where you've landed instead of constantly being on the move. For many full timers and long haul travelers, it's a great framework that prioritizes a slower pace and a more relaxed experience on the road. That said, it's not a rule I personally follow as a weekender. When you're working with a fixed vacation window, stretching a trip over multiple short travel days just isn't always realistic. I'm often looking to maximize my time at the destination, which means longer driving days up front and on the return. Instead of planning by miles, I plan by time, accounting for the reality that a bigger rig moves slower and requires more intentional stops. It's about being efficient without rushing, so I can spend less time in transit and more time actually enjoying where I've worked so hard to get to. When it comes to navigation on travel days, I keep it practical and always stay aware of height, weight, and road restrictions because those are the details that can turn into a real problem fast. I've experimented with RV specific apps like RV Life, and even after plugging in all of the specs for my rig, I still found myself routed into a questionable situation. Since most of my driving sticks to the interstates and major highways, I rely primarily on Google Maps, but I never depend on a single tool. I keep a professional trucker's interstate atlas within reach as a backup, especially for clearance and route planning. And one of the best tips I've ever used came from my wife while towing through Manhattan. Just follow the truckers heading the direction you need to go, was her advice. It sounds simple, but it saved me more than once and has become a go to strategy when things feel a little uncertain. Once the route is roughly mapped out, the next big piece of the puzzle is securing a place to park for the night. Campground booking can be one of the trickiest parts of RV travel, especially during peak season when spots disappear fast. Over the years, I've developed a few strategies to make it less stressful and more predictable, from timing reservations to knowing which types of campgrounds suit my rig and travel style. I'm going to break down exactly how I approach this part of the trip planning. The first step in my campground planning strategy is to secure what I call the anchor campgrounds. These are the spots where I know we'll be spending multiple days, usually because they're near the big attractions or adventures we have planned. Anchor campgrounds are always the first to fill up, so I make these reservations far in advance, typically 9 to 12 months ahead of our trip. Locking these in early gives me a solid foundation for the trip and ensures that the most important parts of our journey are covered before anything else. When it comes to researching these campgrounds, my approach depends on the type of stay I'm planning. For multi day stays, I prioritize full hookups and amenities that make the longer visits comfortable. KOAs often fit that bill, as I'm familiar with the range of quality they provide, from journeys and holidays to resorts. But if there isn't one in the area, I dive into Google searches, read reviews, ask for recommendations on social media, and explore apps like Campendium or The Dirt. I also make extensive use of satellite imagery and Street View to check access, road conditions, and overall layout, which can save a lot of headaches when maneuvering your rig. All of this research helps me gauge the quality and suitability of a campground for a multi day stay. I'm not just looking for a place to park, I also want to make sure that the amenities, spacing, and general environment match what my family needs for comfort and enjoyment. Taking the time to vet these anchor spots thoroughly means that when we arrive, we can focus on relaxing, exploring, and having fun instead of worrying about hookups, road access, campsite conditions, etc. It's a process that adds preparation time up front, but pays off in stress free days at the destination. When I need to string multiple travel days together, I've learned the hard way that locking in reservations for every night can backfire. I've tried the let's reserve everything so we know where we're staying approach, only to have delays or unexpected events throw the whole plan off. Last minute cancellations are stressful, often with partial refunds at best, and then scrambling to find another spot on a short notice adds even more tension. These days, I take a more flexible approach for travel nights. I have a general idea of the region where I want to stay overnight, but I don't book anything well in advance. Instead, we rely on options like harvest hosts, rest areas, or even casinos. While a rest area isn't glamorous, it works in a pinch and takes the pressure off, giving us the freedom to adjust our schedule without the stress of canceled reservations or last-minute searching. Once the campgrounds are mapped out, anchor spots locked in, and flexible travel nights accounted for, the next big piece of planning is provisioning. Just like reserving campgrounds, having the right food, drinks, and supplies on hand can make or break your trip. I've learned that a little preparation before hitting the road saves a lot of stress later. From stocking up on groceries, planning meals around the length of our travel days, and making sure we have enough essentials to avoid unexpected stops. Here's how I approach provisioning to keep the trip running smoothly and the family well fed. When it comes to provisioning, everything starts with meal planning. I began by mapping out the total number of meals for the trip, broken down into breakfast, lunch, dinner, while also factoring in nights we plan to dine out. Dining out for us is a part of the adventure, giving us a chance to taste local flavors and explore the region. So I don't plan every meal down to the exact night or dish. Instead, the goal is to ensure we have enough food to cover the meals we'll prepare ourselves, striking a balance between convenience, variety, and the freedom to enjoy the culinary side of travel. Once the meal framework is set, that's when I tackle the logistics of shopping. For longer trips, I'll usually do a bulk grocery run, often using Walmart's click list or pickup service. Their larger parking lots make it easy to load groceries directly into the trailer, which saves a huge amount of time and effort. This method also helps avoid the inefficiency of hauling groceries home first, then back out to the trailer, a crucial consideration since we don't have the ability to store the RV at home. By planning meals in aggregate and pairing that with a smart grocery strategy, provisioning becomes manageable and stress-free, letting us focus on enjoying the trip instead of constantly running back to the grocery store. For longer trips, we keep provisioning simple by planning ahead and targeting Walmarts in anchor locations or along major interstates. I pre-order groceries using their click list service, which lets us pull in, load up efficiently, and get back on the road without the hassle of wandering store aisles or juggling bags. This approach has saved us time, reduced stress, and ensure that we have all of the essentials for multiple days, again, allowing us to focus on our trip rather than constantly be searching for groceries. We've covered a lot so far, from smart travel day strategies to booking the right campgrounds and planning out your provisions so you're not scrambling once you hit the road. All of that comes together to make your trip smoother, less stressful, and a whole lot more enjoyable. But now let's take a quick break and hear a word from our friend and longtime sponsor, CamperAlerts.com. It's summertime and the great outdoors are calling. But did you forget to book a campsite 9 months ago? Well, don't worry. Say goodbye to sold-out campgrounds with Camper Alerts. With Camper Alerts, you can choose your campground, select your site type, and set a personalized alert. And when a site becomes available, they will notify you. It's that simple. Visit camperalerts.com today and start setting your alerts. And we're back. Let's dive right back into our route planning episode here on RV Out West and keep building the roadmap to a smoother, more enjoyable trip. Even with careful planning for campgrounds and provisioning, the toughest part of route planning is preparing for the unexpected. Weather can change in an instant. Mechanical issues can bring progress to a halt. And sometimes life just throws curveballs that interrupt even the best laid travel plans. Anticipating these potential setbacks and having strategies in place is what separates a stressful trip that one that stays enjoyable, even when the road doesn't go exactly as planned. As American author John Steinbeck once captured in Travels with Charlie, the road has a way of calling to you and reminding you that no matter how much you plan, it always has its own agenda. He wrote, "Once a journey is designed, equipped, and put in process, a new factor enters and takes over. A trip, a safari, an exploration is an entity different from all other journeys. It has personality, temperament, individuality, uniqueness. A journey is a person in itself, and no two are alike. And all plans, safeguards, policing, and coercion are fruitless. We find after years of struggle that we do not take a trip takes us. Tour masters, schedules, reservation, brass bound, and inevitable dash themselves to the wreckage on the personality of the trip. Only when this is recognized can the blown in the glass bum relax and go along with it. Only then do the frustrations fall away. In this, a journey is like marriage. The certain way to be wrong is to think you control it. I feel better now having said this, although only those who have experienced it will understand it. On the first full day of our cross-country road trip, we hit a classic RV snag. Our slide started crabbing and refused to come in all the way. I fumbled around trying to figure out what to do, completely unsure where the manual nut was to bring it in by hand. Frustration mounted as we stared at a stubborn slide that seemed determined to ruin our first day on the road. Eventually, after a bit of digging and some trial and error, I found the nut, cranked the slide in far enough, and we were back on track. It was a small victory, but a perfect reminder that no matter how much you plan, things like this happen, and you just have to roll with them. When planning an RV trip, it's important to think beyond the route and campgrounds and prepare for the unexpected. I always make sure we have reliable roadside backup, whether through AAA coverage for RV travel, so help is just a call away if something goes wrong on the road. In addition, I keep a well-stocked emergency kit on board, including basic tools, first aid supplies, and essentials like extra fluids and fuses. Just as important as the physical preparations is maintaining a flexible mindset. Plans will inevitably change due to weather, traffic, or mechanical issues, and being ready to adjust keeps the trip enjoyable instead of super stressful. Together, these precautions make it possible to handle setbacks efficiently and continue your journey with confidence. One of the most surprising lessons I've learned from RV travel is that planning doesn't limit you. It actually sets you free. The more you think through your route, your campgrounds, and your provisions, the less you have to worry about the little things that can derail a trip. Knowing that your anchor campgrounds are booked, that you have groceries lined up, and that roadside backup is in place gives you a kind of confidence you just can't get from winging it. That freedom lets you slow down, take in that scenery, and truly enjoy the moments that make travel worthwhile. The quiet mornings with a coffee in your camp chair, the unexpected detours that lead to hidden waterfalls, the long drives that turn into conversations and laughter in the cab. Planning isn't about restriction, it's about creating the space to explore without the stress. So if you've been dreaming about your next RV adventure, start mapping it out. Even a rough outline of destination, stops, and provisions can transform the way you experience the road. Think of each plan as a stepping stone toward more freedom, not more rules. Your map becomes your safety net, giving you the confidence to chase those sunsets, follow the side roads, and linger in places that speak to you. The road is calling. Start planning, and you'll find that the preparation itself is the first step toward the adventure you've been waiting for. We'd love to hear from you. Have you had a memorable experience planning a route, or maybe an unexpected issue pop up while on the road? Well, share your story with us. Use the link right there in this episode description, or head over to the show notes at rvoutwest.com. Tell us what happened, and you just might have your adventure featured on a future episode. Your stories help other RVers learn, laugh, and feel inspired on their own journeys. All right, my friends, the conversation doesn't have to end here. If anything I talked about sparked your curiosity, head over to rvoutwest.com and check out the show notes. We've got links to everything we mentioned, so you can dive deeper, explore more, and maybe even start planning your next adventure. And while you're there, make sure you sign up for our free monthly newsletter. That's where we share things first, like behind-the-scenes updates, new destination travel guides, and a few extras we don't always talk about on the show. It's the best way to stay connected with us and be a part of the community we're all building. I really appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. Next week on the show, we're taking things off the road and into the rapids. We'll be talking with one of the premier whitewater kayakers right here in the Pacific Northwest, and he's sharing some truly gnarly, insane stories from his most epic paddles. We'll also get the inside scoop on his favorite spots to camp, plus some essential paddling safety tips and tricks you're not going to want to miss. Even if you're a seasoned paddler or just love adventure, this episode is going to be one wild ride. Thanks for listening to RV Out West. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed the show, tell a friend and please leave a rating or a review. It would mean a lot. Special thanks to Scott Home Music for our intro song, We Are One. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook to join in on the conversation. Now, get out there, explore, and go see what's beyond the horizon.